A small story from there we start. Lady, 50-year-old lady, she sent all her 12 children, kids to school. She's cleaning the house, the sweat on her brow. Thinking about the life. She heard the doorbell sound. She went and opened the doorbell, opened the door. Two preachers were standing. They were asking her, "Can we have few minutes with you? We will teach you how to live eternally." Immediately she replied, "No, I don't think I can stand anymore this life." If you look a little deep into your life, we also feel continuously life is a curse, or it's a result of some of our past karmas. Again and again people ask me, "Swamiji, is there anything called karma? Our past karmas do affect us." Why? Why do you feel again and again life is a punishment? Life is outcome of our past karma. People again and again ask me, "Swamiji, please teach me some way, some method that I should not take next birth. I do not want any more births." I ask them, "Why? Have you lived enough? You feel fulfilled?" "No, Swamiji, we don't want to come and live this life once more. It's too much." If you look your life again and again and again, we feel it's a big suffering, punishment, the effect of the past karma. But if you look the other group in the world, there are only two groups of people. One are wise, the other otherwise. The other group, enlightened masters who walked on this planet Earth. If you see their words, if you see their teachings, if you see their lives, again and again and again they emphasize life is bliss. Life is ecstasy. Our consciousness is ananda. Again and again they emphasize the consciousness is ananda. Your very being is bliss. There are thousands of enlightened masters on the planet Earth who live and who are living. If you ask them any advice or any clarification, always each one gives their own suggestion, their own method, their own techniques, their own teachings. For example, if you ask about food, somebody will say, "Eat only vegetarian food." Somebody will say, no, eat whatever you want, no problem." Somebody will say, no, don't eat anything, do fasting." For example, if you ask about marriage, somebody will say, "No, don't marry." Someone will say, no, you can marry. Someone will say, "You can marry him 4 times." So many suggestions from so many enlightened masters. There is a beautiful saying in Sanskrit, "If 2 rishis say the same thing, if they speak the same thing, be very clear, someone is fake. Two Rishi cannot say the same words. They can't express in the same way. Each one expresses in their own way. Each one has got their own way of teaching, their own method of expressing, their own way of advising the people. Each one has got their own concepts, their own conclusions. They express in a different way. But as far as this one concept, the bliss, concerned, everyone agrees. Everyone says life is nothing but bliss. Consciousness is bliss. Your very being, your very existence is based on Ananda, bliss. Everyone agrees on this point. If everyone agrees, it must be something essential. Otherwise, you can't make enlightened persons to agree on any concept. You can't make enlightened individuals to agree on any other concept. Unless it is totally essential, it must be totally essential. That is the reason all of them agree with this one concept. Life as such is bliss. But in our practical life, again and again and again, we feel it is a misery. It's a punishment. Why? Where we miss the truth. There is a missing link between the experience of the masters and experience of us. Why some people feel the life is bliss, why the others feel it as a suffering? This was I was telling you. The planet Earth, only two kind of people are there. The two groups. One is wise, another one is otherwise. That's all. Why people feel it's a suffering? Somewhere we have missed, somewhere we have lost the essence of the life. Somewhere the basic thing, basic principle is misunderstood. What has happened? Why? Why we feel the life is a suffering? We'll now go into it. Let me first explain the title, Quantum Bliss. Let me try to express the meaning of the word quantum bliss. In science, everyday conclusions change. In spirituality, only expressions can change, never the conclusions. In science, conclusions change every day. In spirituality, conclusions never change, only expressions can change. You can only comment on Upanishads, you can't write new Upanishad. Because the truth, which is ultimate, is already expressed. But in science, truth gets updated. Today something is truth, tomorrow something else is truth. And day after tomorrow, something else is truth. For example, it's like science is like trying to find something in a dark forest with a small torch. A man is having a small torch. Is it intellect? Intellect is what is the torch. It is intellect. He is trying to find something in the dark forest. Today he finds something. Tomorrow he says, no, there is something more. Day after tomorrow he says, there is something more. He goes on. But spirituality is not like a torch. Spirituality is more like a lightning. In one flash of lightning, you see the whole thing. In science, you walk with a torch. That is why your truth is getting updated. In spirituality, you see the whole thing in a flash of lightning. That is the truth. It's very clearly expressed. You can only comment on it. First, the scientists, physicists, they were expressing every atom consists matter and energy. Matter and energy both are there in every atom, every particle. That's called matter and energy. Next came the idea, a group of scientists, they started expressing, yes, in every particle there is an atom and energy, there is a matter and energy. But it is not two things, it is one and the same. There is no space gap, only time gap. At particular time, the same particle is matter, next moment, the same particle is energy. There is no space gap, only time gap. Then came later on the third group, third batch. They declared, not only they declared, they proved, there is no time gap. There is neither space gap nor time gap. It is not that at particular time the same particle is energy, the other time it is matter. At the same time, there is no time gap. It is matter and energy both. First group declared, in every particle there is matter and energy. Second group declared, there is no space gap between the matter and energy. Third group declared, there is no time gap between the matter and energy. So finally now they come to a conclusion. Energy and matter is one and the same. There is no boundary. Boundary is only intellectual or for utility's sake. In practicality there is no boundary. Whatever is energy. Whatever exists is energy. That is what Ishavasya Upanishad declares. 5,000 years ago, Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Whatever exists is energy. After this long research and discovery, the theory proposed by the quantum physicists is whatever exists is energy. As on now, this is the last word of science. This is the last word. This word is yet to be developed. The last word of the science is the first word of spirituality. The first Veda, Rig Veda, the first Upanishad is Ishavasya Upanishad. The first statement is Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Whatever exists is energy. The last statement of the science is the first statement of the Upanishads. In a conversation, somebody questions Einstein. You say matter becomes energy and energy becomes matter. How this happens and why it should happen? Then Einstein says, here ends science and starts spirituality. How this happens or why this happens can't be answered by a scientist. It can be experienced only by a mystic. Where science ends, spirituality starts. Let you understand this one concept, quantum. There is no gap between the matter and energy, either in the space level or in the time level. Same way, there is no gap between your energy and your expression, which is called body and mind. The moment you think your body and mind, you start suffering. You start feeling the suffering. Sariram rogamayam, manam sogamayam. Sharira is full of rogas. Manas is full of depression. The moment you start thinking your body and mind, you start feeling the suffering. Next thing, the moment you understand that because of this body and mind connection only you are feeling the sufferings. You are suffering. Then comes the next suffering, how to disconnect yourself. Then comes the next suffering. It is not that suffering ends here, no. Then comes the bigger suffering. I have not seen the ordinary people suffering more. Ordinary people suffering more than the so-called spiritual seekers. The so-called spiritual seekers suffer more than an ordinary person. At least the suffering of the ordinary person is very clear. He identifies himself with body and mind. So he works in a very clear-cut way. He knows he has got a hope. If he does this, it will happen in that way. There is a hope. But with the spiritual seekers, the so-called spiritual seekers, there is no clear-cut way. There is no logic. There is no path. There is no clarity. They only know one thing. Because of their identification with the body and mind, they suffer. But they do not know anything more. The moment you know about your suffering, suffering multiplies. It should be clear. The moment we know about our suffering, suffering multiplies. The moment you understand your identification with the body and mind is the only reason for your suffering, your suffering never vanishes. You are now having one more suffering. How to disconnect yourself, how to become enlightened, how to become Atman, how to realize the self, starts the next trouble. Till now you had only 10 problems, now the 11th problem. What I mean by the word quantum bliss? I mean by this word, not only you are not body and mind, there is no need for you to work to disconnect yourself